So welcome everyone to our last in this series of World Kamishibai Forum workshops. We're really delighted to end on this topic. I think it's a topic of a lot of interest to people. And I am going to spotlight our presenter for today. Let me unspotlight myself. And I am very honored to introduce to you Ramya Srinidhi. She has founded the Indian Kamishibai Association, which she will share more information about with all of you so that you can join. They're very active in India, and she has a wonderful presentation prepared. So I want to turn the floor over to her. And then in the second half of the program, we will be hearing from Pepe Kojachi, who many of you know from last year's workshops as well. So I'm going to spotlight you, Ramya, and please welcome Ramya Srinidhi. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tara. I'm very happy and excited to be here on this platform, and a topic that's very favorite and close to my heart, cultural fusion in Kamishibai. So without further ado, let me continue. Let me begin my presentation. So my presentation beginning, I will start with indigenous art forms of India. So we have a very, very rich culture, art here in India. So I would like to take you through with a presentation, and then I will be presenting stories. I even have a small, very brief interview with the artist who has done the artwork for me. So let me first begin with my presentation. The presentation is up, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so just to begin with, I come from a country which is very rich in cultural and artistic history, and there are a wide variety of art forms here. And if you see, these are the temples, the Gopuram, or the main entrance of Indian temples, and they're very beautifully made artwork, colors, vibrant colors that are there as wall paintings and murals inside the temple. So one of the first indigenous art form I'll be talking about is called Kerala mural. So I'm just giving you here just an image of which part of India this art form comes from. So that's the south of India, which is called Kerala. So these mural paintings are frescoes depicted which depict Hindu mythology, and they're dating back 9th to 12th century. And these paintings are found in the Sanskrit texts. So this is how vibrant these artwork is, and the colors that are used are red, yellow, ochre, green, blue, traditional mural art. So just giving you a glimpse of the rich artwork here, and these can be found on the walls of Indian temples. Huge canvas, the entire wall is the canvas, so it's painted on the walls. Moving forward, I'm talking about Madhubani. So that art form comes from this beautiful part of India. It's a traditional painting. It's also called as Mithila painting from Bihar. And these artwork are created using rice flours, twigs, and natural colors. And they say that the Madhubani painting dates back to the time of Ramayana, which is one of a very big epics and from our mythology, the Ramayana. And Sita's father wanted her wedding to be captured through this artwork. So that's how it began. However, yeah, of course, the major feature of these paintings are they prominently outlined bulging fish-like eyes, pointy noses for the characters. But apparently there was a major earthquake in 1934, and this earthquake kind of revealed brought out the painting. So what happened is when there was an earthquake, a lot of houses fell apart, and only then it was noticed that the artwork was done inside the walls of many houses. That's when this artwork was discovered. So these are images of some of the artisans working at Madhubani artwork. So my next artwork I'm introducing here is called Varli. It's one of the oldest forms and originated in the Varli types in the Western Ghats. These are very rudimentary paintings that mostly have circles, triangles, and squares that form the painting. If you notice here, it's mostly the circles and triangles and straight lines that make most part of the artwork. These shapes are symbol of different elements of nature. So unlike Kerala mural paintings or Madhubani, these art forms don't depict mythological characters. So these are images of common people, regular people doing their regular work. They could be cooking, cleaning, farming. So this is simple work that's captured. And if you see that, this is also painted on the mud walls of the houses, the tribal homes that are there. So Varli art, again, it's usually with white and black background, or earth, that is the maroon and white background. And the bamboo stick is apparently chewed at the end to give the texture of a paintbrush. And that's how these tribals used to do this artwork. So I'm then talking about Patachitra. So this is a cloth-based scroll painting, comes from Odisha, West Bengal. Just giving you a glimpse of how all over India, we have such lovely and rich and vibrant art forms. So again, this can be dated back to 5th century BC. Patachitra is known for its intricate details as well as mythological narratives and folk tales inscribed in it. So this one piece that you see here will have an entire story, very, very intricate details that will be, painted into this piece of art. So here, the ancient Bengal narrative originally served as a visual device. And here again, Pata means cloth and Chitra means pictures or paintings. So I happened to meet an artist who does this Patachitra artwork. And I have a very brief video here, but I will finish my presentation first and then play the video for you. So moving forward, I want to talk about Chitrakati. So this is extremely interesting form of art and storytelling. Again, this comes from Pinguli, Maharashtra. Chitra means painting and Katha means story. So again, drawing parallels to Kamishibai, paper drama. So this is an art form that comes from India, which if you notice the pictures here, the storyteller is sitting and there are pictures in front of him. And it's usually 2 or 3 people who perform here, and it is accompanied by a lot of music and singing and storytelling. So here, I was very fortunate to talk to one of the artists here from the Gangavane family, and they are the sole preservers of this art form. And they create the leather puppets, they sing and perform. And their small cowshed, now in 2016, they turned it into a museum, which they are keeping all the artwork. And the artist gave me such very interesting information here that many years ago, there was a very famous ruler in India called Shivaji Maharaj. And one of his expeditions, he apparently finds a group of tribals, and he sees them performing within their own group, singing and telling with pictures. And he's so fascinated by this artwork that he invites these tribals to come and live in the city. And he gives them an assignment to go from village to village to tell stories, and they have to work as a spy for the king. So that was very exciting for me to know that through stories and songs, this group of people from the tribe would go from village to village as a spy for the king. And they would communicate very interesting, important information through stories, and they would gather a lot of information, and they would come back and tell this to the king and at his darbar. So that's how the Chitrakati, or the picture storytelling format, came. And here again, a lot of stories come from Indian mythology, which is Ramayana and Mahabharata. So today they do these kind of artwork. They sit down and perform. And the artist was telling that this is becoming a dying art form. It's just one family, a very small family, which is preserving and still doing this art form. And he was wanting to create a lot of awareness and interest on this art form. So again, there's a video here, which I will play after my presentation. So the next one that I'm going to talk about is Kavad. Kavad comes from a village called Basi in Chittorgarh in Rajasthan. And Kavad is a mobile storytelling box. So many things that fascinated me about Kavad is how it is a small box and it can contain so much of art, and such vibrant stories can be told. And it has a lot of similarity with Kamishibai that we talk about. I have a cupboard here with me. I'll definitely show it to you. How the doors open, and how, as the doors open, there are multiple, windows that open, and multiple stories that can be told. So kavad is made from wood of mango or semla trees, and it's of course a combination of carpentry, painting, and narration. So it's a, like I said, it's a small box. So there's a lot of carpentry that goes in, and the art is painted on these very small boxes. And of course, then is the kavad bachan, or the kavad storytelling. So it's still alive in Rajasthan, and epics from Mahabharata and Ramayana, again stories from mythology, would be told. So here, another interesting fact is it was called as a temple or a shrine, and if the devotee cannot go to the temple will come to the devotee. So the kavad storyteller would go from one household to the other. He would sit with the family, the entire family, and he would tell stories of God, and then he would also tell stories of their own family. So he was the lineage or the story keeper of that family. So he would tell stories of the great grandfathers and their adventures. So that was the role of the kavad bachak, or the kavad storyteller. So this is another interesting finding for me, and I have been interacting with Tara and Donna on this, how Kamishibai itself traces back its lineage, its roots to kavad, which is very interesting. And I'm still in the process of doing a lot of research in this. There are certain mentions in books about how kavad traveled in different forms, and every time there were some more inclusions and more changes, and how it traveled all the way to Japan, and how Kamishibai can actually trace its roots back to kavad, which was a very interesting find, and I am still in the process of doing more research on that. So this, again, I have a small video here. I come at the end of my presentation. So okay, let me just play the videos for you, and then I'll take you through a story. This is the Patachitra art that you're seeing.
I'm Ramya Srinidhi, and what I have here is the Patachitra art. It's a beautiful art form. It's one of the indigenous art forms of India, where is the origin of Pattachitra and what it is all about, we'll know from an artist.
Odisha, Puri से आया है. My village is the Nayak Patna heritage village, Nayak Patna. ये एक्चुअली क्या होता है ना, ये 3 लेयर कॉटन साड़ी है जो टैबरिन का अंदर जो ब्लैक सीड रहते हैं उसको डॉश करके उसको बर्ल करके 3 पुरानी कॉटन कपड़े को हॉट के टाइम में इसको हैंडमेड कैनवास जो टैमरिन का अंदर जो ब्लैक सीड रहते हैं उसको डॉस्ट करके उसको बर्ल किया होते हैं. बर्ल होने के बाद 3 पुरानी कॉटन कपड़े को हॉट के टाइम में इसको हैंडमेड कैनवास बनाते हैं. इसको बोलते पट्टा है, जो चित्र कहते हैं उसको बोलते पट्टा चित्र है. आप इंडिया में जो भी कुछ पेंटिंग है, मधुबनी, मिनिएचर, तांजोल, फॉन्ट, so 1 figure, 2 figure this painting. Odisha Pattachitra all storytelling art. This is the all the mythical age, this painting. This is the Krishna entire life story. This is the Ananta Sayan, Devakasura marriage, Bandisa Narua, Vasudev Dari Saranam Leke Jare, Bijuli Kanya. This is the Krishna entire life story.
Ramya, you're muted.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Tara. So if you notice here, there's these are miniature painting, and the entire story is depicted here. So that's what the artist is telling, that the entire life story of Lord Krishna, one of the deity in India, and a lot of story from Hindu mythology. The entire story will be depicted in such small pictures.
This is the Krishna entire life story.
Wow, just in this piece, there's an entire story of Lord Krishna.
So that was the first one that I was talking about, that is Pattachitra. So here is the story of Chitrakati, the picture storytelling that I said. I'll just play a very brief video.
तो पर्यटक होता, त्या पर्यटकाने म्हटलेला आहे, त्या रावणाला, त्या सीतेला लागलाय रावणाचा शोक आणि तुला लागलेल्या या गावातल्या मुलांचा शोक, आणि असं करून त्या पर्यटकाने आपल्या बायकोला मारायला सुरुवात केलेली होती. म्हणून हे ऐकून त्या रामाने आपल्या लक्ष्मणाला आज्ञा दिलेली आहे, लक्ष्मणा, गावामध्ये कोणी आपल्या अयोध्येमध्ये कोण बोललेला आहे, महापात सांगत आहात तुम्ही. म्हणून त्यांनी काय केलेलं आहे, त्या सीतेला माहेरी जाऊन असं सांगून फसवून त्या जंगलामध्ये ते सोडत आहेत. रथ चाले गडगडा, हे रथ चाले गडगडा, सीता रडे ढळ ढळा, रडे ढळ ढळा. हे रथ चाले गडगडा, रथ चाले गडगडा, सीता रडे ढळ ढळा, रडे ढळ ढळा. हे माहेरीच्या वाटे, हे माहेरीच्या वाटे घ्या, केळी छाया बना, केळी छाया बना.
So this is the Chitrakati form, which I feel is very close to the Kamishibai telling, where the artist sits down with pictures and the entire family. So the picture that you saw there was the father and his 2 sons, and they sit with the tamboor, and there are 2 other instruments that they use, and there is a lot of singing and storytelling that goes on. Sometimes the artist was telling me that they start at 9 in the night and go all the way to 9 in the morning. So the entire night, and they have such lovely pictures that they have preserved from many years, and in their museum, like I said, that small cowshed which they have converted into a museum, and they said beautiful pictures we have, and we keep those pictures, and every time a scene is over, so he moves the picture and then he continues with a little bit of storytelling, a little bit of singing, some music. So I have the other one is covered that I was talking about, so I would like to just play a small video about that.
संध्या का वक्त था, चांद सूरज आसमान में. संध्या का वक्त था और चांद सूरज आसमान में. कथा is, in simple terms, is a storytelling form which is accompanied by paintings, and you unfold each painting, unfold each door, and the new painting reveals, and the teller tells the story, connecting all of them together. Kavad itself is considered as shrine by people who practice it, primarily the Kavadiyas who practice it in Rajasthan. So it is part of a ritual of Kavad Bachna, जहाँ पे you read the kavad. For traditional people, for traditional kavadiyas, this is like a temple. पर वक्त हुआ तो सूरज डूबा, चांद भी गुस्से में लौट गया, उसी दिन से अमावस हुई, अंधेरी काली रात हुई, दोनों रूठे बैठे रहे और यहाँ धरती पर हलचल हुई. महाभारत रामायण is what they start with, and then they will bring local stories, local heroes. फिर local heroes से आपकी family के लोग. So the stories will go from epic to local heroes to heroes in your own family. They are primarily genealogists. They maintain your family history, they maintain your family tree, they know who, where, how things have happened, and they tell it to you. But they, instead of just telling it to you purely, they tell you a story. So they bring storytelling to their profession of genealogy. In Rajasthani, Kiwad is door. So this is a box of doors. There are multiple doors which open. So Kawad comes from that.
So again, that's the similarity that we talk about, that having doors and doors opening up and telling stories. So I have with me a small Kawad box here. If you saw the artwork that was done, which was used by the storyteller, his name is Akshay Gandhi. And he's a fantastic storyteller. This box also belongs to him. And the artist, I think today here, he's there here in this audience. So his name is Rohit Basi, and he does these artwork. So I'll talk about him more a little later. So this is the Kawad box that I have here. So if you notice, it's about this big, right? So this is how the doors open. So every time there is a doorkeeper, these two are doorkeepers, and then the doors open. And the doors open and the stories reveal. So the storyteller opens each door and tells the story. And then if you see how the doors are opening, they open further and then the story continues. So the storyteller can stop here or can continue further. So the doors open again and then they continue further. So this is how, like I said, there is carpentry, artwork, and storytelling that is involved. So this particular art was done for a project and the artist has custom made it. And there are two doors here also, and this also open. And there is where your story ends, right? So again, a lot of doors, art, and storytelling, which I thought was very beautifully connecting with Kamishibai, of course. So, all right. So moving forward, any questions that you have, please put it in the chat. We'll come back to questions. I would like to present a story for you, which is a story from India. It's a story of Vikram and Betal. So I will present that story for you now, and then I will speak about the artist who has done this artwork briefly. So this story, the artwork, illustrations done by Rohit Basi, and story retold by Ramya Srinidhi. Once upon a time, there lived a great king. He ruled over the capital of Ujjain. His name was Vikramaditya. He had immense love for learning as well as adventure. He was brave, fearless, and with a strong will. Every day, many people, many visitors came to the king and they had a gift for him. Well, the king would accept all the gifts. But there was once a strange visitor, a mendicant. And every day, this mendicant would come And what gift do you think he had for the king? Well, he had a fruit. He had a fruit that he would offer to the king, and King Vikramaditya would take the fruit and hand it over to his royal storekeeper. Well, one day as he was receiving the fruit, oh, it slipped and it fell down. And when the fruit broke into two, there was precious stones and gems. The king was surprised. He ordered to check all the fruits, and from all the fruits came out a fine ruby, diamonds. The king decided to meet the mendicant. However, the mendicant had set a condition that the king must meet him at the banyan tree in the center of a crematorium, somewhere beyond the city, at night on the 14th day of the dark moon. Well, I told you, King Vikramaditya was a strong, brave, powerful, and a man who had a liking for adventure. So he went and he decided to meet the mendicant at the night, exactly at the place where he had specified. And there this mendicant sat, and he was doing a very strange penance. Well, he ordered the king, he said, I have a task for you, a mission. Well, you have to go and visit the northernmost corner of the ground, and you will find an ancient tree. There, from that tree, there will be a corpse, a dead body, hanging from those branches. All you have to do is fetch it for me, and then I will tell you where you can find this magical tree which gives out fruits, which has precious gems and diamonds. Well, King Vikramaditya agreed, and he said, all right. And he set out on the journey. He set out looking for the strange tree and the corpse hanging. He couldn't find anything. Just then the leaves shook, ruffled, and suddenly from above, there was a corpse hanging upside down. The king looked at the corpse and simply pulled out the branch and was about to put the body on his shoulder and was about to leave. And not so soon, Maharaj, said the corpse. It started speaking. Well, I have heard that you are a very strong and a powerful and a very intelligent king. Now, I know that you're taking me to the mendicant, and it's a long walk for both of us. Well, as we are walking this long walk, I'm going to tell you a story. However, you are supposed to stay silent throughout the story. If you ever break your silence, O king, I will leave you and go back to the tree. However, I will tell you a story, and when my story ends, I will ask you a question. If you know the answer to the question, you're bound to give me the answer. Otherwise, your head will break into a million pieces. Well, King Vikram agreed to this condition, and he started walking. Betal started to tell the story. Oh, of course, please excuse me. I forgot to introduce this friendly ghost, the corpse. His name was Betal. Now, Betal started narrating the story, and he said, once upon a time, there lived a beautiful princess in the land of Vaishali, and her name was Vainati. She was so beautiful. Her unabated beauty and intelligence was a talk of the town. Now, her father wanted to get his her daughter married. Well, he soon sent out a word that prince from far and wide can come down, and my daughter can choose her husband from any one of them. This is called a swayamvar, a practice that has come from a very, very ancient time. Well, the next day, a young prince from a royal dynasty came. He said his name was Kashyapa from the Kuru dynasty. Well, he had a lot of power and intelligence, and he said he also possessed a special power. He could meditate, chant a sloka, and he could clearly see what was happening in any place, however far and wide. The emperor was impressed by his talents. He said he could stay in the palace until the next day when his daughter would choose her husband. Well, another prince flew down, and he said he also came from a royal lineage and that he had this magical chariot, a beautiful, spectacular chariot. And if he recited a sloka, he could fly the chariot to any place he wished to go. Handsome, good looking, powerful, royal lineage, and a flying chariot. Very nice. Well, then came another prince, and he was also good looking, handsome. And what did he carry in his hand? A sparkling sword, so bright that it looked like he was holding the burning sun in his hands. And he too boasted of a royal lineage, and his special power was he could slay anyone with his sword. Well, the emperor was fascinated. He was also asked to stay until the next day when his daughter would make the choice. And the next day, the father went to his daughter's palace to invite her for the day of the decision. As he went, there was darkness everywhere. There was no sight of his daughter, and suddenly, your daughter is with me, O king. Look no more, and she is my wife now. Well, the king was shocked. Immediately, he informed about this to everyone, and soon the first king said he could chant the shloka and he could tell exactly where the princess was. He said she was beyond the 7 seas, across those mountains, and exactly the location where the princess was taken by this evil demon. Well, of course, immediately they wondered how to get there. The second prince quickly got in his flying chariot, and everybody hopped on to this flying chariot, and they flew to this place where the demon had taken the princess. Well, as they went closer and closer, oh, welcome, oh great king. There is nothing you can do to me. I have your daughter with me now, and she is mine, said the evil demon. Well, just then the third prince took out his sword, and, well, one slash. There was a splash of blood everywhere, and that was the end of the evil demon. Now the ghost, the Betal, stopped the story, and he said, well, my king, now I stop my story. So now, whom do you think the princess should marry? The 3 princes, each one had a role to play. But whom do you think she should actually marry? Said the Betal. Well, I will also stop my story here and ask my audience, because if you don't answer, if you know the answer, and if you don't answer, your head may burst into a million pieces. Who knows? So why don't you just quickly send in that chat? So the first prince had the power to guess where she was. He had the vision to see where she was. And the second prince had the means to get there. And the third prince slayed the demon. So whom do you think should the princess marry? Well, the next day she was there at the palace and all the three young men were there. The third prince says, Bob, number two. Number three says, Marion, perfect. She can marry all three. That seems like a good idea. Well, whomsoever she wants. Well, but now we want to know what Vikramaditya, the great king, what do you think he thought? Well, he thought for a while, and as he had promised, if he knew the answer, he was bound to tell. And he said, do you want to know? Yes. And he said the princess should marry the third king, the third prince, because he could have found out where she is. There was Google, of course, that could help, and they could have got there. There was airlines, But if not for the third prince who killed the demon would still be alive. Well, laughed the ghost, and he flew away saying that you are right, O king. I am impressed by your answer. Of course, she married the third prince and lived happily ever after. But since you broke your silence, I have to leave you now. And the ghost flew away. Well, did the king find the ghost again? Why was the mendicant looking for the ghost? What happened next is another story for another time. Thank you for listening to my story. And at this time, I would like to just talk about the artist. His name is Rohit Basi, and I hope he's still there in the audience, because he had definitely joined in, but I don't know if he's still stayed back. I'll present a small video, because I happened to talk to him and find out about his inspiration and how can he draw and that. So let me just share a small video with you.
Hi, I'm Ramya Srinidhi, and I have here with me Rohit Basi. Rohit Basi is an artist and illustrator, and he has done artwork for several of my Kamishibai stories, ranging from stories from Indian mythology to folk tales and many more. And I see a lot of cultural influence in his artwork, and I see a lot of vibrant images and colors that he uses. So I would like to know from Rohit, what is his inspiration and where does he draw ideas and what kind of stories inspire him. So I would like to hear from Rohit Basi about his artwork.
Hi, my name is Rohit Basi. I am an illustrator and a painter based in Bangalore. So when you say inspiration, it can come in many forms, it can come from anywhere. But I guess we have to be ready for it. I mean, we have to be prepared for an idea and how we can transform it to something tangible. So my inspiration comes from the people I meet around me, the people I see on a daily basis, on the road, on the streets, when I travel in public transport. The stories I listen to, the stories I get to hear, their interactions with their fellow human beings, and the books I read. I mean, I think it's very important for an artist to read. I mean, you meet many interesting people in these books. You read some stories and then you can make up more stories from the stories you read, from the people you meet, and from the imaginary worlds you get to encounter. Books So people, and then I usually like to travel a lot to these ancient temples in South India. I mean, these temples are places where you meet a lot of characters etched in stone, a lot of sculptures, a lot of paintings from which I derive characters like these and these. So, I mean, each of these temples, each of these energy centers, as I like to call them, I mean, they have a lot of stories etched on their walls. Each pillar, each wall, each rooftop. And I have spent too much time, I believe, just going through these sculptures and learning about them, researching about them. And plus, this whole universe of classical dance, classical theater both ancient, modern, contemporary. So all these sources, they come together, they form a mix. And I literally just dip into these to form my ideas, to form my characters. And I guess that's where all this happens.
Thank you, Ramya. That was so wonderful. I think we really got a sense of so many different art forms that you can draw inspiration for your Kamishibai from. I know you brought a few other examples, but we also have Pepe has joined us.
Joined?
Yeah,
Okay.
and we
So
have
can
a few, we have a few questions in the chat, but maybe we'll save those for the end. So
Okay.
if you want to wrap up, then we will introduce Pepe.
So, okay, I'll just wrap up now with a small story, very small one. And okay, all right. So I'm very excited to have been here and bringing stories and art from my culture. So this very short story that I have is done in the Madhubani art form, which I spoke about. So I'll present this story and wrap it up. But you have to participate with me because it doesn't work otherwise. And here you go. Okay. So once upon a time, somewhere far away in the middle of a big ocean, there was a fish. And this fish was feeling very, very sad and lonely. So he wanted more friends. So can we say more, and many more? More, many more.
Sure.
Yes, thank you. And there he had lots and lots of friends to play with. And then, once upon a time, there was this beautiful flower in a garden, and this butterfly was like, just one flower. I wish there were more. So, can we all say more, and many more? More, many more. Yes, many, many more flowers for the butterfly to hop on. And then, oh no, what do we have here? Once lived a peacock and she had just one feather and she's like, I wish I had more feathers to flaunt. So can we say more, and many more? More,
and many more.
Many more.
Yes, lots and lots of feathers. Now here is a mango tree with just one mango. And I know there are so many people here in the audience, and we want mangoes, which is the king of fruits and national fruit of my country. And the right time, we are getting a lot of mangoes. So let's say more, and many more. More. Yes. And there are mangoes for all of you. Enjoy your juicy mangoes and keep listening to more stories. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Ramya. So I want to welcome our second presenter, Pepe Kojachi, who many of you have seen probably in our last forum. If you haven't, you can go back and view his video in our archive. So because we started a little late, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight him and ask him to unmute himself so he can begin his part of the presentation. Welcome, Pepe. It's wonderful to see you.
Bueno, primero quiero empezar agradeciéndoles a ustedes por esta oportunidad. Que me disculpen si hay algún ruido externo, ¿no? Porque eso no está a mi alcance y que voy a contar con el apoyo de Eteri, ¿no? Para la traducción, la interpretación.
First, he wants to thank you all for inviting him to present today. And he's sorry if you hear any sound during the presentation, because there could be sounds surrounding his house. And today he will be presenting with my help. I will be his translator. My name is Eteri.
Bueno, empiezo agradeciendo a Tara, a Donna y a Walter por esta oportunidad y esta gran idea de organizar este foro internacional que permite conocernos, que permite reconocernos.
First of all, he wants to thank Tara, Donna, and Walter for making this World Kamishibai Forum so we can meet each other and know more about each other's work.
Sí. Quiero empezar diciendo que cada uno de nosotros tiene una historia muy particular, una historia muy especial, y eso fue el punto de partida de lo que yo les voy a compartir el día de hoy.
Well, he knows that each one of us has a very special story where we started this kind of workshops or this kind of work, and he wants to share his own story now.
Al ser el día de hoy un tema de la fusión cultural, ¿no? Desde el Kamishibai, no solamente es el tema, sino ese tema está hecho en mí como persona, ¿no?
So
Ahora les voy a
today's
explicar por qué.
topic is Kamishibai fusion, and that also represents like Pepe's fusions to himself. So he will start to explain more about it.
Por el lado de mi mamá, parte de la familia es de Nishihara, Okinawa, Japón.
So his mother's part of the family is from Nishihara, Okinawa, Japan.
Y por el lado de mi papá es peruano y de la ciudad de Ayacucho.
And his father's family is from Ayacucho, from Peru.
En ese sentido, tanto Japón y Perú están presentes en mis raíces, en mi corazón.
So that's why in Pepe's heart, it's Japan and Peru together.
En ese sentido, somos llamados Nikkei, ¿no? Yo sería un Nikkei peruano.
In that sense, that's why we are called Nikkei. So he will be a Peruan Nikkei.
Y es así como empieza ese camino de búsqueda desde mis raíces para todo lo que yo quería hacer. Y lo que yo quería hacer es que todo el mundo pueda disfrutar de las historias, dibujarlas y contarlas.
And that's how he started to search for his own roots and share this kind of enjoyment for other people to make their own stories and draw their own stories.
Desde niño a mí siempre me gustó jugar y dibujar, jugar y dibujar.
Since he was a little child, he liked to draw and play, draw and play.
Y empecé esa búsqueda desde un material muy hermoso y maravilloso que se los voy a mostrar en este momento.
And that search was started with a work that he will show later.
Yo soy diseñador de profesión y quería encontrar un equilibrio entre la palabra y la imagen.
So he's a professional designer, and he wants to find something that could use the speaking, like the oral version of oral speaking and the drawing together.
Y eso me llevó a buscar las diferentes maneras de expresiones y tradicionales del Perú para contar las historias.
Therefore, he started to search for traditional expressions in Peru.
¿no? Siendo tres de todas las que tenemos, las que me llamaron la atención y que fueron el punto de partida.
And there are three main ones that were the starting point for him.
La primera era esta que se llama tabla de Sarwa.
This is the first one, and the name is Tara de Sarwa.
Es una expresión de arte popular y es de la ciudad de Ayacucho, de donde nació mi papá.
This is from Ayacucho, where his father was born, and is an art expression.
Entonces es una historia que se desarrolla en varios momentos y la lectura va de abajo hacia arriba. 1, 2, 3 y así sucesivamente.
So there are different scenarios, and they start from bottom to top.
Y los materiales que utilizan se encuentran al alcance de la mano de ellos. Aprovechan de los recursos naturales para poder, por ejemplo, hacer las tintas para pintar.
And the materials they use for this work are really affordable.
Y en el caso del trazo de los dibujos, utilizan la pluma de aves.
And for painting, they use the feathers of some birds.
Entonces esto a mí me llamó la atención porque es aprovechar al máximo las oportunidades y recursos que están al alcance de nuestras manos.
So I think this is really interesting. Well, he thinks this is really interesting because they use a lot of natural resources to make these kind of stories.
Entonces eso a mí me llamó mucho la atención porque era algo que yo desde muy niño hacía, porque por ejemplo yo construía mis propios juguetes.
And this catch a lot of his attention because Pepe himself, when he was playing, he made his own toys.
¿No? Y eso me llevó a reencontrarme con mi identidad y transmitirles a todos que también las cosas se pueden hacer aprovechando todo lo que hay alrededor, ¿no?
And with this, again, he found his own identity and started to tell everybody how they can use the natural resources, what is around them, so the others.
Lo segundo que quiero mostrarles se llama mate burilado.
This is the second one. This is called mate murilado.
Esta es una especie de fruto seco, que es un mate, y una vez que está seco, empieza como una especie de tallado en el mismo, ¿no?
This is a dry fruit. So they start to carve this kind of fruit to make a story.
Y a mí me llamó mucho la atención porque en cada intervención hay una historia.
And this catch a lot of his attention because if you can see, there are different stories inside of this fruit.
¿No? Y también es un trabajo que tiene mucho que ver con la mano, ¿no? Puede uno tener la idea, pero no hay un boceto previo, no hay un dibujo previo, sino la intervención, una vez que está el mate, comienzan a hacerlo directamente y dejarse llevar por lo que dice su mente, pero sobre todo su corazón.
And this is a lot of handicraft. They don't think before like what the story will be about. They just start taking the fruit and carving like what they feel, what they want. They don't have a previous like preparation for what they will draw or do.
Y tanto en la anterior que mostré como en este momento, reflejan lo que son las historias y tradiciones de los lugares donde viven estas personas, los artesanos, ¿no?
And this kind of work also reflects the stories of the people that live in that area. For example, the handcraft of the people that work there.
Instrumentos musicales, por ejemplo, ¿no? Está la guitarra.
Music instruments, for example, the guitar.
Un arpa, ¿no?
The harp.
Etcétera, etcétera, ¿no?
The kind of works they do there.
Eso me llevó a una manera de pensar muy especial. Yo quería que todo el mundo cuente una historia.
And after finding this, he wants it like everybody else makes their own stories.
Yo tengo el sueño que todo el mundo dibuje su propia historia.
So his dream is to make everybody to make their own stories.
Pero llegué a la siguiente conclusión. antes de contar una historia, cuenta tu propia historia.
So his conclusion was, before telling a story, tell your own story before telling someone else's one.
¿No? ¿Quiénes fueron tus abuelos? ¿De dónde llegaron? ¿Qué es lo
Who
que
were
te
your
gusta? ¿Qué no te
grand-
gusta?
Who are your grandparents? Where did they come from? What do you like? What do you not like?
Y es en ese camino, por estas raíces que yo tengo tanto peruana y japonesas, que me llevó a lo tercero que quiero mostrarles y que viene a ser como esa pieza de rompecabezas que completa un poco esta visión sobre la fusión de lo peruano con el Kamishibai, que es japonés.
And it's because of these roots, like Japanese and Peruvian, that he came to another idea that he will tell later.
Que está aquí, que es el retablo ayacuchano.
This
¿No?
is the retablo ayacuchano, it's the third one.
El retablo ayacuchano también es de la ciudad de donde viene mi papá, que es Ayacucho, ¿no?
This is also a handicraft from his father's town, Ayacucho.
Y como pueden ver, es una caja de madera que está intervenida, ¿no? Con diversos diseños.
So this is a wooden box, and it has different designs made on it.
Y en el interior hay una historia.
And inside, there's a story.
Que está representada con figuras que han sido moldeadas, ¿no?
These are mold figurines.
Y es aquí donde hay algo que a mí me llamó la atención, porque en el Kamishibai uno puede usar el butai, el escenario, y en el retablo utiliza una caja de madera para contar una historia.
And here it catch his attention that in Kamishibai you use the butai, and in retablo they use wooden blocks to tell the story.
Entonces yo me dije, quizás es así donde yo puedo fusionar mis raíces, tanto la peruana como la japonesa.
And there's where he realized maybe here is where I can relate my two stories, both the Japanese one and the Peruvian.
Entonces este butai de madera, ¿no? Este escenario de madera puede tener la plástica, los diseños del retablo ayacuchano.
So maybe that Japanese style can have the Ayacucho retablo style with.
¿No? Y ahí empezó un camino inimaginable, toda una maravillosa aventura, que me lleva, por ejemplo, el día de hoy a conversar con ustedes.
And from there started a wonderful adventure that brought him to us to tell his stories.
Y voy a compartirles ahora un archivo sobre este proceso que en realidad es mi vida, más que, no sé cómo explicarlo, es mi vida.
So he will start to share a presentation where he will share his life. That's how he describes it.
¿Me pueden hacer un gesto con la cabeza si se ve bien, por favor?
Please shake your head if you can see the presentation, or put your thumbs up.
Ok. A ver, un momentito. Ahí estoy yo cuando era de niño y jugaba, y a mi lado está mi abuelo.
Here's where he was playing when he was a child, and besides him is his grandfather.
Y mi abuelo japonés.
His Japanese grandfather.
Y esta foto significa mucho para mí, porque cuando yo era muy niño, jugaba siempre con 2 palitos de madera y los golpeaba. Nunca me imaginé que a futuro estos palitos tenían un vínculo con el Kamishibai.
This picture is really meaningful to Pepe because when he was a child, he always played with 2 wooden sticks and he clapped each other. Later, he came to know that there's also something called Hyoshigi.
Así es. Y eso me llevó a formar esta propuesta que se llama Raimi Kamishibai. Raimi quiere decir en quechua, fiesta. Kamishibai, sabemos, teatro de papel. Entonces diría la fiesta del teatro de papel.
Raimia?
Sí, Raimi. Raimi Kamishibai.
Right. So that after that, he made this. This is Raimi Kamishibai. Raimi means party. And this is his work.
¿No? Y a la vez Mukashi Mukashi, ¿no? Que es una propuesta de gestión cultural que comparte el Kamishibai, pero siempre desde la identidad, desde la interculturalidad.
This is a cultural management proposition to further the interculturality understanding between cultures, between Japan and Peru.
Y es así como empiezo este camino y realicé esta ilustración que resume un poco la fusión al tener ese butai de madera con una intervención del retablo ayacuchano.
And this is how he started his own path with this drawing too, where he has the Kamishibai, the butai, with the handicraft or the retablo from Peru.
Yo tengo una anécdota muy especial con esta ilustración. Es una ilustración que hice yo hace muchísimos años, pero hay gente que cree que es una ilustración japonesa por el sello que está en la parte inferior como un hanko, pero no, eso lo hice yo, un peruano.
And this is a drawing that he made a lot of years ago, but a lot of Japanese people think this is a Japanese drawing, but no, he made it himself. And the hanko is also, his design. The hanko is the seal that is down on the picture.
Ya acá viene una parte muy importante de este tema de la fusión de las culturas, entre el caso de lo peruano y con el Kamishibai, ¿no? Esta es una exposición que se presentó en el año 2009, que se llamó Mukashi Mukashi en la ruta del Kamishibai.
This is an exposition that they made that was called Mukashi Mukashi. This exposition was on 2009.
Y yo
And
quería,
it's called The Path of the Kamishibai.
yo quería decirle a todo el mundo sobre esta fusión, sobre lo que yo estaba sintiendo y compartiendo, ¿no?
And with this, he wanted to tell everybody, to the world, what he was feeling and he was experiencing.
¿No? Entonces, por ejemplo, acá ven una bicicleta que ha sido remodelada y con ese butai pintado como un retablo. Y en el interior hay una historia japonesa, ¿no? Es de Tetsuo Kawamoto, la ilustración, ¿no? De Lágrimas de Dragón, por ejemplo.
So, for example, here you can see a bicycle with the butai that has the design of the retablo. And inside the butai, you can see a Kamishibai story from the drawings are from Tetsuo Kawamoto.
Y entonces los asistentes a esta exposición podían ver tanto lo peruano y lo japonés, ¿no?
With this, the people that came to the exposition could see both the Peruvian and the Japanese culture together.
Por ejemplo, acá pueden ver un retablo ayacuchano y en el interior el motivo es el personaje, el intérprete de Kamishibai.
For example, here you can see a retablo ayacuchano and inside there is a guide to Kamishibai.
Estoy yo ahí contando historias y rodeado de los animales del Perú, escuchando las mismas.
There is Pepe himself, and he's surrounded by Peruvian animals that are characteristic from there.
Entonces, todo este camino ha sido para poder compartir sobre lo que es la fusión, sobre la interculturalidad desde el Kamishibai.
So all his life path has been to share this Kamishibai and make it intercultural.
¿No? Acá, por ejemplo, hay un butai que ha sido hecho en Perú, es de madera y color natural, pero hay una intervención en la parte superior de este butai por un artesano peruano. Entonces, siempre presente el artesano del Perú. Al yo viajar mucho, de alguna manera creo que quizás un embajador, ¿no? de la cultura de mi país, la cultura Nikkei.
So here is also a butai. It's made from wood too, but you can see the handicraft on top of it, even though it has no colors. The handicraft was made by a Peruvian. So every time Pepe travels, because he travels a lot, he can show this kind of work from Peru. And he thinks maybe because he brings this Peruvian culture, could be kind of an ambassador for the culture of Peru with Japan.
Siempre el público llega muy interesado a ver, ¿no? A conocer sobre el Kamishibai y esta expresión, ¿no? De fusión.
So all the time, people come really interested to learn more about it, see the fusion they make with Peru and Japan.
Y esa fusión me llevó también a tratar de buscar, de encontrar un propio estilo de ilustración. Estas son ilustraciones que he realizado yo.
And that made Pepe to find a new kind of new drawing style, the fusion with the both of them.
Utilizo papeles de colores, papel reciclaje, así como los artesanos que mencioné anteriormente, también aprovecho al máximo los materiales que están al alcance de mi mano.
So he uses color paper, recycling paper. He tries to use all the materials he can.
Tanto historias del Perú como de Japón, ¿no?
And there are both stories from Japan and from Peru.
Y también siempre presente esta fusión en las publicaciones que tengo. Este es como un cómic, como un manga, ¿no? Por ejemplo.
This is kind of a comic, like a manga, and there is also present this fusion, you know, all the time.
Y aquí hay una oportunidad para que los niños conozcan algo de japonés, de español, y que también aprendan a dibujar, ¿no?
This was an opportunity for kids for them to learn a little bit of Japanese and Spanish and to learn to draw.
¿No? Y les enseño que a partir de figuras geométricas como un círculo, un triángulo, un cuadrado, podemos empezar a dibujar, porque a veces muchos dicen, no, yo no sé dibujar. Y yo les digo, no, todos dibujamos, todos dibujamos.
In that kind of workshops, he tries to teach how everybody can draw. Even though they say like, no, I can draw, he teaches them how to draw from basic geometrical figures like a circle, triangle, square.
Y de esa manera voy compartiendo con jóvenes, niños y adultos esta filosofía y mirada del Kamishibai, de rescatar sus propias historias y que ellos lo puedan hacer de su propio lenguaje, ¿no?
With that, he shares with other people how they can use the Kamishibai to tell their own stories.
Entonces, esta es una oportunidad también para los profesores de escuela que puedan conocer la técnica, rescaten las historias de sus lugares, de sus pueblos y lo puedan traducir desde el Kamishibai.
And this is also very useful for school teachers, so they can rescue their own community stories and keep passing them.
¿No? De poder cómo construir un butai con cartón desde el material reciclado, también de aprovecharlo, ¿no?
They also teach them how to make their own butai from recycling materials.
¿No? Yo quiero que vean con atención esta foto. Dicen que las historias son para niños, pero miren a los adultos.
And he wants to share you this photo. They say the stories is only for kids, but please see there are only a lot of grown-ups there.
Es la magia del Kamishibai.
This is the magic of Kamishibai.
Y como pueden ver, he estado compartiéndolo, esta fusión, desde un teatro portátil hasta el uso del teatro en bicicleta. Que sí funciona la bicicleta. Yo manejo la bicicleta y me subo en ella. No es un adorno.
And as you can see, they share the Kamishibai with both like a portable theater and with the bicycle. In the bicycle works, he rides the bicycle and tells the story.
Es algo que también siempre me interesó de un principio, es si bien había gente que conocía esta propuesta desde mi persona, para mí era muy importante que japoneses visitaran el Perú y también compartan esta experiencia de Kamishibai para que la gente pueda conocer cómo es el Kamishibai en Japón y empezar a crear una cultura de Kamishibai.
So when he met somebody that knew about Kamishibai, he wanted to share, like, for example, Japanese people to come to Peru so they can tell their own stories, and Peruvian people can also learn more about Kamishibai from Japanese people.
Este es un proyecto que se llama Perú y Japón unidos por las historias, ¿no?
This is a project that is called Peru and Japan United by the Stories.
Aquí están 3 de nuestros invitados japoneses que llegaron al Perú en el año 2017, 2018 y 2019.
These are pictures from 2017, 18, and 19 when Japanese people came to tell Kamishibai stories to Peru.
Si el proyecto lo permite y algunos de ustedes son los invitados, van a ser recibidos con el mismo cariño.
If the project allows it, and there is Japanese people with us today, you will be welcome with the warm we welcome the other guests.
Y realizamos también una versión virtual donde tuvimos la presencia de Japón, México y Estados Unidos, donde estuvo Tara, ¿no? Una versión virtual que hicimos.
And we also have a virtual version where we have another international guest. For example, Tara was together in this project.
En ese sentido fue una actividad virtual, pero tenemos la ilusión de poder contar con ella de manera presencial, ¿no?
And in that case, it was a virtual presentation, but they hope they can make later a live one where they can go to Peru.
Algo que les quiero compartir, así es rápido, es que puedan ver como un resumen en segundos de un video, de algunos videos, para que vean que la bicicleta sí funciona.
So
Sí,
he wants to share with you now a video that lasts a few seconds, so you can see how the bicycle actually works.
Entonces eso es como un resumen de este camino y que quiero también compartirles una historia, ¿no? Desde el Kamishibai.
That was kind of the summary video of this path and how he wants to share a story with the Kamishibai.
Algo que quiero aprovechar en decir antes de olvidarme, que creo que es muy importante que podamos desarrollar nuestra propia identidad.
And before he forgets, he wants to share the idea that it's important to share our own identity.
¿No? ¿Y a qué me refiero? Porque hay muchos que utilizan materiales que hay en las redes, ¿no? Pero es mejor si tú mismo desarrollas tu propio material.
And what he wants to say is that there will be maybe a lot of materials out on the web, but it's also important that ourselves can develop our own work, our own materials to make the stories.
Por ejemplo, hemos visto ese video y la música que han escuchado es propia del proyecto.
For example, we have seen that video, right? But the music that you heard was also made. It was a project for the music.
Sabemos que hay material de uso de derecho libre, pero es mejor que podamos crear nuestra propia identidad, tu propia música, es algo muy especial, ¿no? No se quiten esa oportunidad.
They know that there could be some free material, free music they can use, but it's also really important to remember that it's more joyful to make our own material, to share our own identity through it.
Por ejemplo, ese tema musical Les cuento como anécdota, yo no soy músico, pero se me ocurrió la melodía, escribí la letra y la melodía, y luego ya con un amigo profesional que es músico, le puso los instrumentos, el arreglo musical.
So for example, that music that you heard before on the video, he's not a musician, but he thought about the lyrics and the melody. And after he shared it with a friend that is a musician, and he put the instruments to the music.
Este tema musical, su nombre es, en japonés, es Pepe-san no Kamishibai no Uta.
So this song name is Pepe-san no Kamishibai no Uta. It's a Japanese name.
Y les voy a mostrar ahora una historia muy pequeñita desde esta fusión de Perú, Japón en Kamishibai.
Now he will share a little bit of this Peru and Kamishibai Japan fusion.
¿No? Yo primero se los voy a contar con el apoyo de Eteri para que ustedes lo puedan comprender y ya luego el video pueda correr solo para que disfruten la historia, ¿no?
So he will share a video, but before sharing the video, he will try to explain a little bit about it with my help, translating, and later you can see the video to understand what is happening better.
¿Por qué la narración está en español, no?
Because the storytelling is in Spanish. So.
Y tiene que ver con este torito, este pequeño torito.
And it's related with this ball.
A mí me llamó mucho la atención porque cuando fui a Okinawa vi que las casas tenían el shisa, que eran dos. Y acá en Perú también utilizan dos, pero acá no tengo uno, pero dos toritos, y los colocan en los techos de las casas.
When he went to Japan, he saw in the temples they have this called shisa, an animal.
En Okinawa, shisa.
In Okinawa. And in Peru, they have this bull too. And they have two in Peru and they have two shisa in Okinawa.
Entonces la historia tiene que ver de cómo nació la idea de el torito y de colocarlo en los techos de las casas.
And the story, it's related with this ball and how they start to put two balls at the roof of the houses.
¿No? Y luego también van a ver un proceso de cómo aprovechar una caja y transformarla en un pequeño butai para Kamishibai.
And later you will see a process of how to use a box to make a butai.
Y al final también de la historia, ustedes déjense llevar, disfruten y luego si no explicamos la historia, ¿te parece?
So
Okay.
First, let's share the video and please enjoy it. And later, if you have any questions, please ask us.
皆さん、ちょっと待ってください。Un momentito, 1 minute.
1 minute, please.
Tienen que recortar su cajita y dejar como una especie de ventana. Por esa ventana se podrán ver las ilustraciones de las láminas. En el lado derecho tendrá que quedar abierto para colocar las mismas. Recuerden que esto sería un paso inicial en un formato de lectura de imagen desde el Kamishibai. Al ver las ilustraciones recordaremos la historia para ir contándola. He recortado también las piezas que necesito de la cartulina de estas cajas con mucho cuidado. Y ahora empiezo a dibujar las flores y las hojas en las puertas. Hago unos trazos referenciales, primero para luego pintar con más seguridad. Ahora la parte superior, que es como la cabecera. Ya tengo los trazos de las 3 piezas que estarán alrededor de mi marco del escenario de cartulina. Ahora las pintaré con témperas. Ustedes lo pueden pintar con lo que tengan en casa. La paciencia y cariño es fundamental en todo lo que hagamos. Vamos paso a paso. pincelada a pincelada. Ahora que ya tengo todo pintado, voy a pegarlo sobre mi cajita que preparé inicialmente. Recuerden que el lado derecho del escenario será por donde deslicen las láminas, hacia adentro o hacia afuera. Llegó el momento de dibujar en las láminas de cartulina. Ya haré mis trazos iniciales para luego pintar mis dibujos con acuarela. Siendo el torito de Pucará el protagonista de nuestra historia, será él mismo mi modelo para dibujarlo. Aquí les mostraré solamente algunos momentos de ese proceso para que sea una sorpresa de cómo quedaron las láminas finalmente, cuando veamos la narración desde el Kamishibai de Torito de Pucará, protector de los Andes. Amigos, los cuentos, ya tengo listo el butay elaborado con mucho cariño, ya ha sido pintado, ya tengo todas las láminas listas y no les mostré todo porque quiero que sea una sorpresa para ustedes. Ya tengo la historia, entonces la vamos a presentar. Pero también el día de hoy tengo puesto este happy muy especial que tiene una representación de la fusión de las culturas peruana y japonesa. Así que de esa manera siempre estoy cercano a mis raíces y a mis ancestros. Así que empezamos con el Kamishibai. Bienvenido, Hajimari Hajimari, que empiece el Kamishibai. Torito de Pucará, protector de los Andes. Adaptación de la tradición oral e ilustraciones para Kamishibai por Pepe Kojachi Mukashi Mukashi. Mukashi Mukashi. Cuentan que hace mucho tiempo, en un pueblo de Puno, dejó de llover. Todos los que vivían ahí estaban muy preocupados por el peligro de perder todo lo que habían sembrado con tanto esfuerzo, así como dejar de tener agua para alimentarse entre ellos y a sus animales. Es así que entre todos tomaron la decisión de elegir un animal para su sacrificio y ofrecerlo a los cielos. El encargado de esta misión iba con mucha pena durante su camino y el toro, animal elegido para el sacrificio, desconocía el destino que le esperaba en el monte. Así, ambos iban avanzando poco a poco y sin desviarse de su rumbo. Cuando se encontraban cerca al final de su camino, el toro empezó a resistirse y buscaba la manera de escapar, pero aquel hombre no lo podía permitir y hacía lo posible para que el animal no se le escapara. De pronto, el toro chocó sus cuernos contra una roca y así poder evitar avanzar. Y así, de aquella roca empezó a brotar agua. Sí, agua, mucha agua, ofreciendo vida en su camino. Y también a todo aquello que los pobladores habían sembrado, así como todos los campos en general, renovándose toda la vida en el valle. La alegría en el pueblo era indescriptible y fue gracias a este toro que recibieron una inesperada y gran bendición. Y así, a uno de ellos se le ocurrió como agradecimiento tomar arcilla y modelar aquel animalito que les había salvado la vida, siendo el resultado final una hermosa representación de cerámica de aquel torito. Cuentan que así fue la historia y así nació también la tradición de colocar 2 toritos sobre el techo de sus casas para recibir protección y que la familia se encuentre siempre unida, así como llena de salud. ¿Y cómo empezaron a venderse esos toritos? Pues inicialmente en la estación ferroviaria de Pucará se vendieron y es que así adoptó su famoso nombre, Toritos de Pucará. Cada día se hicieron más populares y muchos viajeros, entre ellos turistas extranjeros, estaban fascinados con el significado. Así, la tradición de los toritos cobró también una nueva dimensión al ser elegido como un obsequio ideal para la familia o para los amigos. Es por ello que ahora hay diversos colores como el torito de Pucará verde, para que no haya ausencia de dinero, que la familia crezca en miembros y también para la buena salud. El torito de Pucará rojo es para brindar los buenos deseos de protección y amor en nuestras casas. El torito de Pucará azul es para que no perdamos la confianza en lo que creemos, que nos mantengamos firmes a nuestros ideales y tengamos grandes amistades. El torito de Pucará negro es para nuestra protección contra aquellos malos deseos que puedan venir de otros. El torito de Pucará anaranjado es para que nunca perdamos la alegría y que disfrutemos al máximo la vida. El torito de Pucará blanco es para que haya paz y armonía por siempre en nuestra familia. Y el que todos conocemos, el torito de Pucará natural de arcilla, el que inició esta historia, es para la protección de la familia, así como regalar muchas, pero muchas bendiciones a los recién casados. Entonces, amigos, los cuentos, así sea un torito blanco, un torito azul, un torito rojo, un torito verde, un torito anaranjado o un torito de color natural, siempre, pero siempre brindará buenos deseos y protección a las familias en casa. Anímense a obsequiar uno de todo corazón a los demás. Y es así como hemos podido disfrutar y conocer algo del mágico mundo del torito de Pucará, protector de los Andes. Oshimai, fin.
Gracias. Ahí un poco la idea del torito de los colores, cuando ven al final diversos colores, tiene un significado, ¿no? Y cada color representa, por ejemplo, la paz, la amistad, la abundancia de dinero, que tengan un montón de hijos, etcétera, etcétera.
So at the end, you saw a lot of balls in different colors, correct? They have different meanings. So for example, they have like to bring peace, to have health, to bring a lot of children, to have a lot of kids.
Que la pareja esté casado por años de años, no se separen las parejas.
If they are married, that the couple stay together for years and years.
Sí, y bueno, todo esto, este camino me llevó acá ya para cerrar algo maravilloso que fue hacer un documental en Japón sobre el Kamishibai, ¿no?
And this part brought Pepe to make a documental in Japan about Kamishibai.
¿No? Y les voy a mostrar acá para cerrar mi participación el tráiler del documental.
So to end, he will share with you the trailer of this document.
Por primera vez en el mundo, un documental hecho en Japón. Para conocer y compartir el corazón y espíritu del Kamishibai, el teatro de papel japonés.
紙芝居は平和を作ることができます。届けて、それからみんなとやっぱり分かち合うもの。
生きること、人生です。始まり。
Un registro audiovisual realizado en varias ciudades. Junto a Pepe Kojachi Mukashi Mukashi, el promotor Nikkei de Kamishibai de mayor trayectoria en el mundo. Muy pronto, Mukashi Mukashi en la ruta del Kamishibai, Japón.
Acompáñenme y vamos a disfrutar de esta ruta, la ruta del Kamishibai.
Sí. Ese es el tráiler de un documental y que esperamos este año ya poder presentarlo de manera presencial, ¿no?
This is a trailer of that documentary film, and they hope to present it this year, finally, in live.
Pude visitar varias ciudades, recoger bastantes testimonios y fue una experiencia realmente maravillosa, ¿no? Enriquecedora.
He was able to go to different cities and interview a lot of people to have their own stories in this documentary film.
Y que me ayudó mucho también en este camino del Kamishibai. Lo increíble es que ya he podido visitar 4 veces Japón por el Kamishibai y he llegado a la conclusión que solo sé que nada sé.
So he has the joy to go to Japan 4 times thanks to Kamishibai. And at the end, his conclusion is that he knows nothing at the end.
Sí, hay muchísimo más por aprender, ¿no? Nada des.
There's a lot more what we can learn.
Pero sí, algo que me dejó el poder conversar allá con todos aquellos que promueven el Kamishibai es que es un momento único, un momento especial. Es dar la vida, es dar tu corazón. Eso es una enseñanza maravillosa que me dio el Kamishibai.
But what he learned when he went to Japan was that Kamishibai is to share your heart, to share your feelings in it, your life.
Y quiero cerrar con un mensaje que es muy famoso en Japón, que siempre hay que dar todo esfuerzo, ¿no? Minasan, ganbatte kudasai.
And with this phrase, he wants to end the presentation.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. Minasan, arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you so much, both of you, Pepe and Ramya, for such rich presentations. I hope you can both unmute and maybe answer a few of the questions. I know we're going a little over time, but if people can stay, there were some questions in the chat. So for Pepe, one of the questions was, did you speak Japanese as a child growing up?
La pregunta es si tú sabías japonés cuando eras pequeño, Pepe.
No sabía, pero lo interesante es que cuando agarraba un libro, lo leía de atrás para adelante. Cuando escuchaba música japonesa, lloraba, era muy sentimental. Y he tocado instrumentos japoneses sin que nadie me haya enseñado. Entonces, ya estaba, yo creo que el camino me iba llevando.
Okay. So he didn't know Japanese when he was a child, but the interesting part was that he read, when he took the books for reading, he started from the end part to the starting part, like Japanese style reading. And when he heard Japanese music, he started crying. It was really emotional for him. And when he saw some Japanese instruments, he was able to play without anybody else teaching him how to play them.
Pero la comunidad peruano-japonesa acá es muy grande, entonces cuando uno está en la comunidad, sí se utilizan palabras. Sumimasen, onegaishimasu, gomennasai. Entonces
Yes.
ya uno va aprendiendo, ¿no?
But the Japanese Peruvian community in Peru is really big. So it's pretty common to hear some few words of Japanese, like the ones Pepe said.
Thank you. We have a question for Ramya about language too, because you shared so many different styles of storytelling from different parts of India. What languages are the storytellers speaking in the different regions?
The storyteller in Kawar is speaking Hindi, which is the national language of my country. And but the Chitrakati artists are, that was very interesting when I met the artist. What he said is the language that they speak is so coded that only they can understand this language. And it's called, I'm not able to get that name, I think. One is Marathi and the other one is Malwani. So the second language, even the song that he's singing is called Malwani. And he said that is why they were able to work as spies, because they could communicate between each other with this Malwani language, which was known only to their tribe. So it's Hindi and Marathi, yes.
Well, that's interesting too, with so many different languages. I'm sure the picture played an important role. Yeah, and Ramya, one question was about the cupboard box. Can you tell more than one story with one box, or do you have to have lots of boxes if you want to tell different stories?
This is an interesting conversation I was having with another friend. They said once it's already, the picture is already there on the cupboard, is it only one story? But if it's a story from Ramayana and Mahabharata, which is the epics, then it is the same story. One box has that story and you only tell that story. But today the artists, of course, are, there's a lot of modern presentations that has come up. So the pictures are very neutral. The very simple pictures, and it's up to the artist to make different stories. Like if you're telling a folk tale, different stories that you can make up with these same pictures. But however, for one story, especially if it's Ramayana and Mahabharata, the pictures are already set according to the story.
Right, thank you. So for Pepe, we have a question about your bicycle. Do you have all your cards, all your stories in the box in the bicycle when you bicycle out?
La pregunta es que cuando montas la bicicleta, Pepe, ¿tienen todas las historias de Kamishibai en la caja?
No solo las historias, sino también dulces.
Yes, not only the stories, but also candies are there. Yes.
Muy importante. Pero se regala, no vendo, lo regalo.
It's very important, but it's he doesn't sell them. It's a prize, like a gift.
Quiero aprovechar y contarles una anécdota, que el día de Halloween fui a un parque, hice el Kamishibai y nunca me imaginé tener un público maravilloso, porque como los niños se disfrazan por el Halloween, entre el público tuve a Superman, Batman, a la Mujer Maravilla, etcétera, etcétera.
So he wants to share with you this anecdote, the story that when he went to tell stories in Halloween, he had a really wonderful audience, because in his audience was Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Snow White.
Sí, hubieron 105 niños.
There was 105 kids there.
Another question for Pepe. The first storytelling form where you tell the stories from the bottom to the top, I can't remember what it was called. Is that made of tile, or what is the material that those are illustrated on?
Pregunta Pepe, del primer material que les mostraste, ¿de qué está hecho? ¿Está hecho de azulejo o...? Sí. Estás en silencio.
In English, this one, Japanese, ¿Kore? ¿Korewa? No, es madera.
It's
madera.
wood.
It is wood.
Okay. En realidad, este es un formato pequeño. los reales miden por lo menos hasta 2 metros de alto.
Actually, this is a small format. The real ones are like 2 meters tall.
Wow.
Sino que pude conseguir este para poder llevarlo y viajar a los países y mostrarlo.
But he found this to share when he travels to other countries.
So I have a question for both of you about when you adapt the styles from your own culture, of visual culture. They're very detailed. That was one of the comments. But Kamishibai can't be as detailed. So when you do your stories, there is not as much detail in the Kamishibai. So how do you make those decisions to make them less detailed? Maybe we can start with Ramya.
It is very interesting because the first time when I tried to adapt a story that is whirly, which is rudimentary pictures of circles and triangles, it was very interesting exercise that was for me to adapt it to Kamishibai. But of course, I will, when I do it, I follow the style and the requirements for a Kamishibai storytelling. So that is my first priority, to make sure the pictures are in that format, more reachable to the audience. And at the same time, it's the being true to the artwork and not the intricate details, because the minute it's very intricate, because a lot of work that I showed today, very minute work is there, but that can't be in a Kamishibai because it has to be slightly bigger. So I'll be true to the art, but cannot keep all the intricacies. Yeah.
And Pepe?
Yo, en mi caso, la pregunta es muy interesante. Y yo creo que si hay algo que he aprendido o trato de aprender y no olvidar, es siempre poder transmitir la esencia de algo.
So it's a really interesting question. What he learned, what he tries to make all the time, is to bring out the essence of that thing.
¿No? Pueden haber personas que tengan mucha habilidad para el dibujo y los detalles y otras no, con pocos detalles, por ejemplo.
There could be people that are really skillful to make drawings with a lot of details. And there are also people that maybe can do that. They make it more simple.
¿No? Y lo que yo quiero decir es que puede ser un trabajo muy elaborado o no tan elaborado, pero lo importante, al menos lo que yo trato de transmitir, es que no se olviden nunca la esencia.
So what he wants to share is it could be a really detailed work or simple work to say something, but what is important for him is to bring out the essence of what he wants to share.
No, porque, por ejemplo, cuando he realizado algunos talleres, muchos se concentran, o lo primero que quieren hacer es el butai, pintarlo, hacerlo, y no se dan cuenta que el butai es parte del Kamishibai, pero no es el Kamishibai. El Kamishibai es la historia, la esencia, ¿no?
So, for example, what has happened to him in a lot of workshops is that when they start making their own butai, they go so into detail to make it pretty and have colors and everything, but they forget that the butai is only part of the show. The main one is the story, the Kamishibai that is inside it.
Entonces, creo que es eso, ¿no? Uno lo adapta a lo que siente también y a su propia voz y al sentir de su corazón, ¿no? Nada es grande, nada es pequeño, todo es importante.
So what he thinks is that everybody adapts their work, and nothing's too important or not so important. So it's just to share what you feel there.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank both of you. I think both of you talk about your work as a journey, and you're both on this journey. to fuse your cultures together in a beautiful harmony that we saw today. And as Pepe said, mada mada desu. We all have a lot to learn, which is why it's so helpful to have these workshops and hear so many different perspectives. So I want to thank everyone who was able to stay a little longer. I would like to just make the 3 announcements again that I did at the beginning. We will be having an opportunity in April to all get together and just talk about the World Kamishibai Forum, because this is our last workshop for this series. So I hope you can join us for that so we can have feedback, new ideas. We do want to do another World Kamishibai Forum, hopefully starting in the fall of this year. So your ideas will be really, really helpful for us in planning that. I'd also like to mention that Donna will be sending out a survey to everybody, so you can also share feedback and ideas that way. And finally, we will be starting in May a storytelling swap, so we can continue to learn from each other and share our stories as we are developing them, because I think in that way we can really improve, instead of having done all the work and finishing it and then being told maybe we could have done something different. It's always nice to have feedback as you're working on a story. So we'll start those storytelling swaps hopefully in May. So please stay tuned. We will send out information about all of this to everyone. I want to thank again both of our presenters.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Muchas
much.
gracias,
Thank you,
también.
Tara. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Walter, Yumi. And so happy to share stage with Pepe. It's a wonderful place. And thank you so much. Of course, do join the Indian Kamishibai Association. We are just growing. And of course, I have a long way to go in this journey. And thank you for this beautiful stage.
Yes, thank you, Ramya. Oh, Pepe, is it possible to buy your manga? I wanted to ask for everyone or your stories.
Ay.
Okay.
Sí, pero se ha agotado. Espero vamos a hacer una nueva edición.
So yes, you can, but it's sold out. So they hope to make a new edition too. Yeah.
Okay, well, please give us the word, and we will spread the word when it's available again. Thank you so much, and hope to see you at our next World Kamishibai Forum.